right now.
All right. Can't get. I'll pull up out at the after bar.
Let me just send this to people now.
Oh, here we go. We're here. We're here. Are you? You're in it as well.
Yeah, I'm here.
I assume. I think it's just me watching.
I mean, the same thing happened last time.
No, yeah, we just wait.
At
2
3, the crew came in. If you're here, say hi.
Yeah, if you're here, type. If you're here, say something.
There's a third person in here, so someone's in here.
If you're here, say something.
I'm gonna go chill, man. Good luck.
Bye, Mike.
Want water?
Yeah. Actually.
Yeah.
Do you drink any of this?
No. Not yet. I'm gonna get it.
God damn it.
Come on, dog.
Come on, dog.
We here. 3 minutes. Get this thing started.
Probably more like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. You got water? You got a bottle? No, we just got stuff. Oh my God. Only water, something.
4 people? Alright, so someone that's not us is in here.
Yo, talk to us if you're here. Tell us if you could hear it. Let us know if everything is clear. Please.
Instead of, I wish the screen right now, instead of stream starting soon, it said, please say hi.
Yeah, you should probably add that.
I can. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yes.
I'll do it right now.
No dogs. There's no dogs in this.
Yes. There we go. I changed it.
Yeah, I'm watching it now. Say hi.
My brother's here. He just texted me. 7.
Just let us know if you can hear us.
Yeah, like I don't know if you guys know how lonely it seems when we can't see you, because this isn't Zoom. Like we don't know when people come in. And then it's like 3 o'clock hits, and it's like, all right, I guess I'm talking to people.
Just wait a little bit.
8.
Yeah, I see it.
The early birds.
Harry, I honestly might be able to follow it on here.
Huh?
Oh,
like the delay isn't that bad?
I don't know.
Someone talk to us. This is why we're not implementing the webcam, because that would just be weird. Jay is here.
Hey.
Jay is here.
Your video, Jay.
Jay, just want to congratulate you on making the video this time. We showed some love to Divine previously. 8. Okay, wait. 10.
Talk to us.
Please.
Let us know if you could hear.
Or the beginning of the video is going to be really awkward. Appreciate it.
I guess Jake is here.
We appreciate you, Jay.
Yeah, what do you think? We should get this thing.
We're going to get started in like a couple minutes. I'm just sending it to
All
somebody.
right. Thank you, Dave. Congratulations, Dave.
Dave's here? Wow. Dave, Tariq. The Zeruses are here. Grace is here. Brooklyn College alum. That's the energy we need.
Bulldogs.
Brian Hazen. This is exciting. See, this is the energy we need. I feel like a part of history. Episode 2. That's right. That is
next live would just be Harry Kane.
All right. I think, yes, you did say hi this time, and I appreciate that. AG Ball for Life. Is that Staten Island in the house? Is that what that means?
Of course.
All right. I think
we need refs in the.
Yes. Shout out to Dave the lawyer. Dave Lewison, our friend, just graduated Michigan Law School. I think it's time. No?
Let's do it. Let's just get money.
So we appreciate that all of you are commenting now because we're about to need you to. In listening to feedback from the previous live, I'll pull up the picture now. We wanted to try and increase the level of interaction in this stream. So Diaz is going to start off with a Jeopardy question for all of you.
Yeah, so here we have a picture of some of the premier big men featured in the 2017-2018 NCAA season. And the question that I have for you is type in the comments, answer, which player here do you think led the NCAA in post-up efficiency? So we're going to give you some time to answer.
And we need to see actual comments. Celeste is here. Kurt's here.
Who do you think it was? Was it Ayton?
Who is the
it
best
Jaren Jackson
player?
Who do you think was the most efficient post player?
So with 0 comments, Diaz is going to reveal the answer.
Kurt said Nick Richards.
Okay. Boom. Richards, Rui.
Well, the answer is Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, Villanova, 6 feet tall. I guess these are all here. We have the stats, and these are all points per possession, including passes. And this is just the rankings of the guys that we had in the picture. But overall, in all the NCAA, Jalen Brunson was second. Number 1 was who? The guy from Cal State?
Yeah, someone from Cal State Northridge who was an actual big man.
Yeah, but Jalen Brunson was number 2. Mm-hmm. And it's the points per possession, including passes, and all of this is important. So the question that we want to ask is how does Jalen Brunson, a 6-foot guard, not particularly a bully, in a pretty fundamental system, that's Villanova, how does he lead the NCAA in post-up efficiency? You know, like guards don't fundamentally post up. So how was he able to do this in a fundamental system? The system that preaches fundamentals.
Right.
So um, let's look at post defense and how post defense is guarded.
Before
And
we even get into that, thank you all for commenting. I guess this is like a lot more delayed than we thought it was, but it is what it is. We're working with what we can work with. Um, so being a couple of millennials, the first thing we did in trying to uncover the mysteries of defending the post, like how do you guard the post? We Googled it. Um, and if while you're listening, you can think back to like any basketball practice that you might have run or been a part of, how has post defense been preached or emphasized? And what we found, and through our own experience, is that almost everything revolves around some form of denial, some form of a double team once the ball is entered, or blatantly just fouling, being physical, and hoping the whistle kind of goes in your way. So this is the first thing that pops up on Google. 4 strategies for defending a dominant post player. You have perimeter players digging. You have doubling down on the weak side or the perimeter. It even goes as far as to say that a way to defend the post is for the guards to pressure the passer so that the post guy cannot get comfortable. So keep in mind,
everything that isn't about guarding the ball once it's in the post.
yeah. So nothing. There are at this point in our quest 0 mainstream strategies from a reputable source, meaning like a college coach, on how to actually stop a guy from getting a bucket in the post. And we took this one step further, and the only thing that pops up on Google when you look up how to guard a post scorer is how to guard a post scorer in NBA 2K19 in a video game. So, with that being said, we'll get into the strategies that we observed in our kind of film study of how people guard the post, guard in quotations. So you have the wall up, the bite, the foul, and the frustration. And these are in the order that they would happen over the course of a game. So I'll take you to a game that I coached this year. This is, I coached at York. We're playing against Hunter. And this is an all conference guard in George Keener, who they ran a post up for out of a back door. And this is the progression. These are the only 4 plays he posted up. First play, Jay, who's in here, plays with his hands straight up, shoots right over him. Second play, makes a really good move. He bites on the fake, he scores. Then we tried the front. And what ends up happening is we foul him. And then I don't know what the call is here, but if you look at Divine, he is clearly frustrated, and rightfully so, because we don't know what the call is. Keep in mind, we are here actively asking for someone to comment or DM us like how you are supposed to guard the post. So that is still a question that we have yet to be able to answer. So the first one we'll talk about is the wall up. It's a kind of natural, like built-in tendency for guards when they're guarding someone in the paint or close to the basket that you're just kind of supposed to stand there, stay vertical, have your hands up, make sure you don't foul. What that first leaves you susceptible to is a lot of these just really short, fade away, straight up and down. You can't really contest that on a wall up. With these possessions, you see Christian Taylor, and their coach is someone who we're really close with, and he had him his junior year start posting up. And it's really hard for guards to move their feet while their hands are straight up. Like if you think of a defensive slide, you're not really doing this full court with your hands up. So look at how tough it is for him to actually stay in front. when he's making an aggressive move to the basket. And then here's a kid, shout out to Jay, who's in here, another really good mid range scorer that we started running post up plays for. And look at just by the time he's shooting, he's not even, there's no contest. So for a guy who's good at scoring in the mid range, this is a good shot for you. Am I forgetting something? Because this is about to end.
Yeah, it's just like that. The wall up is basically just the safest way that coaches tell their guards to guard the post. Like no guards are trying to avoid fouls in the post. They don't want to pick up any foul. And at the end of the day, if a guard is contesting, like if they're staying down, hands up, hands behind your ears, chest up, and they contest or what they think is contest, then they're satisfied with that possession. The
Right.
coach is going to be like, oh, he just hit a tough shot. But if you know what you're doing in the post, these aren't tough shots.
Right. So we'll talk about the bite now. So I want you to think about over the course of a guard's basketball career, playing three dribble 1-on-1, 5-on-5, in shell drills, probably 95% of the reps they're getting on defense are outside on the perimeter. What that can translate to is they're able to read like what a jab step looks like. They don't fall for every jab step. They're not going to bite on every single crossover. That built-in tendency does not exist in the post simply because they've never been here. You know what I mean? And I just want to show this from Jalen Brunson. Right here, he's posting up the center. So we'll talk about it later, but the same way that if you have a switch on the perimeter and you would say, to your guard, attack, use your quickness advantage, that quickness advantage also applies in the post. Just because you're in like a confined space, that doesn't mean that you're not still quicker and able to get to a spot over a big guy.
Yeah, and after you get scored on once or twice when you wall up, I think it's just like a natural tendency for defenders to try to start to anticipate moves.
Yes.
And what's crazy is none of these moves are. These are all ridiculous. None of these are ridiculous. These are all simple shoulder fakes and pivots by Jalen Brunson. This is just easy stuff.
Yeah. And now Diaz is going to get into a pretty vague subject on what a foul in the post is.
Yeah, so I Googled, I tried to look up the rules for post defense, and I found like an NCAA PDF file of the way of the rules just for like college basketball, right? And keep in mind, the rules are supposedly, according to the rules are different for girls and boys, and the rules are obviously different um, amongst different levels: high school, college, NBA, whatever. But the rules are so vague every year. Every single year, the rules are incredibly vague. And every year, it's a point to clean up post play. But it never happens. So, for example, in the NBA, and there's a video rule book on the NBA, it explains every foul and why things are fouls. It's really good. They had, for example, in the NBA, you can armbar and you could place a hand on their back. But you can't extend either of these. Once you extend, it's a foul, and once you put two hands on, it's a foul. So, once that armbar changes to a hand, it's an automatic foul. Does not matter if you disrupt their rhythm or anything like that. It's an automatic foul, which is ridiculous. How could you? That's impossible to determine in real time. So, what ends up happening is that these fouls just don't get called. And the end of the end of the day, a successful post defense possession is if you foul with getting away with it. Is if the ref just doesn't call a foul. Yeah. So it's a crapshoot every time the ball gets in the post. And nobody knows what's going to happen.
I just want to add something. I have like the college rule book in front of me. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's a bunch of like specific arm bar and what you're allowed to do. And then at the bottom of the section, it says, defense players in the post are also required to adhere to all other guarding rules. So basically, in English, good luck not fouling.
Yeah, exactly.
So here you see a lot of like the ticky tack
We
fouls.
could have, and honestly, we could have made the entire video about this.
Yes.
The whole thing. We could have just broken down what in the world is a foul, what isn't a foul in the post. This would have taken an hour, but we're not going to do that. We'll just show it a little bit.
Hold on. Dave is saying some cool stuff. Keep in mind, for anyone listening, Dave Lewison was a Division III All-American in the post. He is in my phone as David 2020 because that's what he had whenever he played us. And he's saying there has to be some sort of mystery that the post scorer is guessing every time down the floor. If you're a defender and your defense of the post remains static, the scorer is just going to figure you out. So I feel like the dynamic should be to throw off the score. Post scoring is about confidence. Your back is to the basket, so you have to be confident that your next moves are going to get you where you want. Yeah, we'll talk about that later, especially like the fact that you're not really seeing what you or the defense is doing. It's like basically what Dave is saying, and I agree. It's entirely either a feel game, like you're feeling the person on your back or your hip, or you're just guessing. You're just guessing and then reacting. So getting back into the foul, here's Christian Taylor posting up. I don't know what this call is. Maybe it's like the fact that right here, like his hand is on his back, because that's when the whistle gets blown. I'm really not sure. Here, he's trying his best to not use his hands at all. That's a foul. And now what we'll get into the more like practical.
No, wait, before that. Let's talk about how you get scored on once or twice in the post. As a coach, your reaction is to say, hey, we need to defend the post. And how do you defend the post? How is everyone teaching to defend the post? By trying to avoid the ball from getting into the post. So there's going to be physical action there. And we don't even know what is a foul and isn't a foul. So all these entries on the catch while the defender is trying to deny the post, these are all basically fouls.
Yeah. And now we'll get into like, the more practical, like what you can actually control that isn't just like a weird foul call, is where you can combine, if you have like a really good handle on your footwork in the post, you can get your defender to bite and in turn draw some sort of foul. And here's Colin Gillespie, who isn't exactly a threat like athletically, but guys are just going for these pump fakes. And then the last thing is we have the inevitable frustration. You have these two teammates yelling at each other. You have what I'm sure you've seen a bunch of kids do, a foul that occurs, and then the, oh my God, I didn't even touch him. And then here's Dwayne Wade just hitting these two with all types of fakes. And we just want to mention here, like, we'll get into, like, right now the advantages of guards posting up and what you can actually do to be better on offense, not just focus so much on, like, oh, no one knows how to guard this stuff. But the post is really the only place on the court where you can pick your dribble up and you're still a major threat to score. Whereas, if you pick your dribble up at the 3-point line, the only thing you can do is shoot a three. Whereas if you pick your dribble up in the paint, you're a threat to shoot a layup. Am I forgetting something? Because we're about to move on.
No, we're good.
Perfect. So now let's get into the advantages of a guard post-up and why you might want to start implementing this into your game. The first thing is cutoff drives into post-ups. So it's hard to stop a guard from getting to that spot because they already have the ball on the perimeter. So all of the like denial, front, double, whatever, you're not just going to double a guy. I just thought of this. You're not going to double a guy at the top of the key just to prevent him from posting up. Like it doesn't make sense. So it's really hard for you to just deny the ball from getting there. And this goes to point two. It's turning good defense into an advantage. So yeah, you cut the guy off on his drive. You did a good job playing defense. Well, now he has the opportunity to post up and turn that disadvantage into an advantage. The last thing, and then I'll let Diaz talk about something. It's putting pressure on the on-ball defender. So if you are a person guarding a guy on the perimeter, you guard him for 3 dribbles, he gets to the block. Typically, that guy will pick his dribble up or jump stop, and the possession's over. Well, now you have to guard that guy for 4 extra dribbles on a post up. And Diaz is actually going to address a a pretty controversial statement. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that all the coaches in here, or just players in here, even they when they get into the paint, everyone teaches to jump stop. Like get in the paint, jump stop, make a decision off that. But that is really that I, I think that's you for when you have created an advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only useful when you've created an advantage. But more you're going to not create an advantage more than you are going to create an advantage. There's going to be more times in a game where you don't have an advantage, where you get cut off on a drive, and you try to jump stop, and you travel, and you make a bad decision, whatever the case may be. You try to throw up a bad layup. So I think instead of trying to teach jump stops when you get into the paint, you should try to teach if you don't have an advantage, which is usually the situation, you should turn that into a post up. It gives you more of an opportunity to probe. It puts you on 2 feet. The idea that you should be on 2 feet in the paint is great, but not jumping to a deceleration and killing your dribble. That is a bad idea because young kids can't make a decision on that. They just sprinted to the paint. How are they expected to read the court all while jumping and landing and killing their dribble? That's it. You can't. That's such a hard thing for kids to do. But what they can do is get on 2 feet and keep their dribble alive. It creates so much more time to read the court. So
Yeah.
I've said my
Keep
piece
in
on that.
mind, I'll just throw something out there. He's not talking about like, let's say you drive and a big steps up and you jump stop to the side of him and take a layup and score. Like that's you making an aggressive move to the basket. We're talking about like, oh, you got in the paint and just jump stop because you're told to. Whereas we think you should be told to start posting. So
yeah, like you can get in the paint and get on 2 feet and keep your dribble alive.
yeah,
Why wouldn't that be? Why isn't that preached the way that jump stops are preached?
I think that's a perfect transition into the first possession of the national championship that year, where here's Jalen Brunson, drives to the basket, gets cut off, and he starts 3 dribbles in a post up, and there's a wall up into a very open fadeaway. Here's something that was in the notes. It could cut. My screen is freezing, but hi Oliver. Hope your screen stops freezing. So this right here, Jalen Brunson has like a lot of open space. And again, we're not saying to not take this pull up, not take this floater, not, potentially jump stop and get a layup. But it's very easy to fall in love with open space and like the first shot you can find. Whereas here, Jalen Brunson doesn't like that shot and he gets right into a post up and it's the shot that he wants. He gets to play on his own terms. Um, so here's what we were talking about before, where this is a complete cutoff drive. You might have heard at some point in your basketball career as an offensive player, like if you see chest, change direction. If you see shoulder, keep going because they haven't cut you off. Like even think about when you do the full court like zigzags for ball handling. You're being told, cut him off with your chest, make him change directions. Well, right here, if he changes directions, he's changing directions right into this guy, to number one. If he did like a between the legs, like a behind the back wrap. So what does he do instead? He posts up. He has all the space in the world. This big number 5 has no idea how to help on this, and there's a cutter with a wide open dunk. Again, same exact scenario. He gets cut off. What were his options that Diaz, kind of went into? He could either pick his dribble up and look either opposite or try and get the ball to number 10, or he could maybe bounce out and reset the possession. Instead, he gets cut off, he starts posting up, and he gets a layup. So that's just a really good option out of, a drive from the perimeter that a big doesn't have that luxury. Am I forgetting something before we move on to facilitating?
Yeah, I think one point that we need to drive home that you said was that um, the mentality needs to change from when you get in the paint to get on 2 feet to when you get in the paint, you're a post player.
Yes.
You have to act like a post player. You can't be on the answer to the problem of decision making in the paint is not get on 2 feet. The answer is get more comfortable playing with your back to the basket, protecting the ball with a live dribble while being able to read the floor. So you have to get in the paint and you turn into a post player. Boom.
Yes. One thing I just want to address the comment section. AG ball for life. I always told the defense to work early for position in the post.
Aaron,
Huh?
can you just call him Aaron?
Sorry, Aaron. I always told the defense to work early for position in the post. Change looks when the ball is above the foul line. Deny high when ball's below the foul line. So again, you're not wrong. Like that definitely is a
Exactly.
thing, but that still doesn't address. Oh my goodness, someone's posting me up. How do I stop him from scoring?
Right. It's kind of like only addresses before the catch, but
Yeah.
then after the catch, it's well, good luck.
And then to Sim and anyone else that might just be coming in, the luxury of YouTube Live is that you can watch this whole thing after. So don't think you need to rewind. You can pick it up here and then watch what you missed later. So moving on, we have the second reason that you should have a guard start posting up. You have a facilitator in the post. What that means, you have a better passer or a ball handler making the play. In most scenarios, your eyes are going to be facing the rest of the floor or the passes that you might be looking to throw. When I was taught to play defense, in terms of digging, I was taught like dig when the ball is on the way up, like on the big bounce. But if you're 6 feet, you're lower to the ground and you have a better ball control. So it's really hard to dig on a guy like that. And it forces unnatural defense. So the same way for the first, however long this video has been, like 20 minutes maybe, we've been sitting here beating to death, which we still think is very important and deserves to be beat to death, that guards have no idea how to guard the post. You know what bigs also don't know how to do? Close out to shooters, guard cutters, or just generally be playing defense on the perimeter. So it's an unnatural defensive position for everybody, for literally everybody. So let's start here. Jalen Brunson hits the cutter. Again, a big, and we've known bigs personally, Vallon, who have had a lot of trouble when they get doubled, and guards are just going to be able to maneuver out of that situation a lot easier. If you look at all these passes, think about like who the best passing big man in the league is right now. Probably Jokic. And we look at him like, oh my God, the fact that he's such a good passer is the reason that he is arguably like a top 10 guy in the league. Whereas if
yeah, people say that he's good because he passes like a guard. Besides, talking about post play strictly, like he obviously throws outlets like a quarterback, but he in the post he passes like a guard. And I'm looking at Jalen's DM, but I think that one advantage that guards have is that their eyes are facing, and we'll see in the clip that guards are way more comfortable throwing one-hand bullet passes than bigs. If you have a big that does, they are elite passers. Most of the time, when you give your bigs the ball, it's like it goes into a black hole. So, post entry, big has the ball in the post, shoulder, shoulder, shoulder into a terrible jump hook that is contested. It looks like a Blake Griffin post move. But when you give the ball to a guard in the post, they're naturally ball handlers, naturally looking to facilitate.
Hello?
Sorry,
I think you just cut out. But yeah, I think the overall point there is that these like amazing plays that you might find from a big man are really just like regular things that guards do when they bring the ball up the court. Like if you bring the ball up and you're giving like a wing entry, you're probably throwing that pass off the bounce with one hand.
Yes, it's regular guard.
So now we'll get into, I think, the real meat and potatoes of this video, and that is that being adept as a post player has transferable skills to the rest of the court. So where is that? That could be in a ball screen situation. That could be in the mid range, just shooting and just general scoring ability. It gives you a general awareness and feel from a closed stance. A lot of guards, especially now that you can't like hand check people, they're used to playing like open, where they're squared to the defense or squared to the basket. Whereas if you're good at posting up, you're gonna always be comfortable with like that shoulder towards the defender. And
Yeah, time that you need to protect the ball, this is useful.
yes. So we'll start with this is not a move, but a concept that we'll teach guards. Before I even get into that, let's just acknowledge this is Steve Nash, 6 foot, unathletic, but really good and crafty point guard, teaching Kevin Durant, one of the most insanely talented and just freakishly good NBA players ever, how to
But
post up.
freak.
So here's the concept. We call it like a V. You retreat dribble towards the sideline, and you see the way they're oriented. Kevin Durant has to make a decision. Is he going to follow him and kind of keep this arm, which again, we don't know if this is a foul. Is he going to keep this arm locked in on his hip, or is he going to follow him and try and get like his body towards him? So right now, he's giving up this baseline. And you can see when he follows him, Steve Nash is demonstrating, it creates like an angle towards the middle of the floor. So here's Kevin Durant showing it in the post. Here's Michael Jordan showing the same thing towards the sideline on an isolation. Here's Dwayne Wade showing that same concept in the post. Something we just want to note. He sees the double. Jason Kidd's feet leave the floor. So now he cannot slide back as effectively. And then Dwayne Wade gets to be Dwayne Wade. So here's a kid, Andre. We've seen him do this a million times into like ball screens and bring the ball up the court. Same thing works in the post. And now you transition out towards the perimeter and playing with your back towards the defender on a ball screen becomes super comfortable. Here's 2 really good examples. Bringing the ball up, gets towards the sideline, finds the angle, refuses it. Now that's going to keep this defender honest and make him have to stay on that left hip. So what does he do? Half spin, uses the screen. Granted, that is a really tough shot, but the thing we're trying to preach is it's just getting to a spot and knowing how to operate in this situation from that like
He creates
protected
advantage.
stance. Yeah. So all of that, keep in mind, was like before a ball screen. Now we'll get into after a ball screen when it comes to like probing. So here's Jose Alvarado. Again, never picks up his dribble here, never jump stops, is constantly playing from a close stance, and ends up posting a guy a lot bigger than him up under the basket and getting a layup. For anyone unfamiliar with what like a hostage dribble is, it's where you see guys in the league, they'll come off a screen when a guy goes under, and they'll hold him hostage like behind him. You could almost think of this, it's going to sound kind of weird, but you could think of this as like a reverse post up. Like the same way you would post this guy towards the basket if you wanted to score. Here he's like posting him up away from the basket and reading the space in front of him. Am I forgetting something here? Because I'm just watching LeBron in a hostage and trying to think about how I would guard this.
No, it's impossible. But the skill applies for a post up and a hostage situation. Is that you have 2 feet wide and you're reading the defender and
Right.
you're just making a play off that. And what that allows you to do is allows you to pay attention to but the primary defender, but the person guarding.
Right. And keep in mind, like in like early LeBron, like young LeBron, he was known for like just being a freak athlete and a really good passer. And then he added that post up game, and that's when he really became like a super patient post just dominator in the paint, and his field goal percentages went way, way up. So the next thing we'll talk about is patience and craftiness on drives. So Hakeem Olajuwon was someone who was like praised for moving like a guard and getting into like, we'll just pause it here. Here's Celeste Taylor, who's here, who, keep in mind, we have now compared to Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, LeBron, and all of the point guards in the skipping video. So good luck your sophomore year. But besides that point, here's a situation where you would see someone probably jump stop and figure it out. But I've seen her post up a lot in high school that just requisite craftiness is already there. So she's able to get in the lane, probe, take her time, and find an effective scoring opportunity. So that's something that is going to translate. Here's Dwayne Wade, another guy who could, like LeBron, probably have used his athleticism whenever he wanted early in his career, but he was super crafty, like in the lane with stuff like this. Kobe, same thing. Am I forgetting something here? Or we're
No.
good? Cool. The next thing we'll talk about is just mid-range scoring and shooting. So here's the thing Hakeem was known for, like the dream shake and getting into a fadeaway. And we'll talk about just fadeaways. There's a whole section on that here. But here's a good example of a cutoff drive into what is for Michael Jordan probably an easy shot. But you just have that level of not just all you can do in the mid-range is shoot a 1 or 2 dribble pull-up. So here's Kobe,
Yeah,
right?
and not limiting yourself to jump stopping. Yeah,
Right. You're just so much more dynamic to guard when you're going towards the rim. So here's Kobe, right? Someone who, again, trained with Hakeem, got that post footwork down, and took his game to like another level. Here's him driving from the perimeter, gets cut off, gets into a post fade. We know him for that. What that's going to translate to, this is the same shot. Like this one dribble pull up, yeah, he's fading a little bit. Could say he's a little off balance, but these, even Jordan, these are the same exact shots, just in different scenarios. So that skill of shooting is going to translate to both areas of the floor. Now let's get into a fadeaway is a good shot. And this is something that we've kind of stuck with throughout our time as being trainers, like empowering guys to like be comfortable shooting fadeaways. So if you remember or recognize this clip from Patrick Ewing, it went like pretty viral, and we'll let it play first, and then we'll talk about it. But his player, I guess, took a bad shot, step back one leg. What kind of shot is that? Have you ever shot that shot? Do you work on that shot? When? And then he goes on to say, I've never seen you shoot that shot. I've never seen you shoot that shot, so don't do it. And I remember like the big takeaway from the internet was, oh, kids these days take such bad shots, or like people need to stop shooting like the one leg fadeaway. I think the first thing we'll address is when Dirk won the finals against the Heat, and Dirk was the guy that was known for his one leg fadeaway. Kobe started doing it, LeBron started doing it, Kevin Durant started doing it. So that is like a good separation thing to add to your game. But I think the bigger point is that what Patrick Ewing is saying, I don't want to speak for him, but he's not saying that it's a bad shot. He kept re-emphasizing that like you never work on this. So that is a shot that you shouldn't shoot. So you can almost think about it the same way that like if you have a big guy who is suddenly shooting corner threes in a game, but you've never done it in practice, you would probably have this same reaction because you never shoot that, you've never worked on it, so don't shoot it. So what we want to talk about is the difference between a high percentage fadeaway and a low percentage fadeaway. So a high percentage fadeaway, you should have at least 1 foot in the paint, and there should be some attempt or just any level of separation gained from your defender. Let's also just reemphasize that this is Jay Wright. This is Villanova's Jay Wright coach team, and if he's cool with fadeaways, you should probably be too if you're a big like fundamental guy. And we'll just pause it here. If you told, especially like in college where your players are like older, stronger, and able to like control themselves in the air, if you're a college player or coach and you're the best person on the team, you can probably hit this shot. Like this is not a difficult shot. There's no one contesting it. I think the conversation needs to be, how are you going to get yourself this open, as opposed to stop shooting fadeaways.
Yeah, look back at the tape, your players have probably taken this shot. It's just been a bad shot because they don't know how to create an advantage to get this shot.
Exactly. So then, same guy, Kobe Bryant, will look at some low percentage fadeaways. There's zero attempt to separate on any of these. A lot of them are like just shots. They're just shots that he's shooting. They're very far. Like these are all close to 3 pointers, or they might all be 3 pointers. And he's just shooting to shoot. Granted, Kobe was known for hitting these, but these are not good shots for anybody. Uh, D'Angelo Russell, same concept. There's no separation gained. A lot of these are like super off balance. He's not playing off 2 feet. And this is like almost blocked. Like all of these are almost getting blocked. So these are really good examples of what a low percentage fadeaway would look like.
So I think we should say like the criteria. So basically, if you're looking at a fadeaway, how can you tell if a fadeaway is a good shot or a bad shot? You should ask yourself these three things. Have you worked on this before? Are you close to the basket? And did you create an advantage to get this shot? If it doesn't check off all three things, then it's a bad shot.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty simple checklist. Because let's be honest, when you're in the paint, it really doesn't matter like left, right foot, like what foot's in front, like as long as you're on balance in terms of like your upper body and you're focusing on the rim, you can hit a shot from the paint. It doesn't need to be like you're catching it left, right, and you're super on balance and you're prepared. Like, no, you can hit a shot in the paint if you're just looking at the rim and you're focused. So let's talk about how we drill it. We'll start with Wesley Cherry, a kid who I got to coach at York this year. Um, and he was super eager to learn like how to post up. And he was just a big energy guy. He didn't really have like a lot of substance to his game when he first got to us. He was just, I'm going to play hard. I know my role, and we'll figure it out from there in terms of development. So, what this possession kind of shows is this is right here. This is the goal that you should have as a guard or a big. Let's just say that here that this section is going to apply to bigs as well because the footwork is universal. If you can get on a drive or a post up, if you can get 2 feet off the ground on a hop and square your back to the defender or the basket, that's going to allow you to pivot either way. It's going to allow you to, if you want to take a fadeaway, you can look for the space behind you. Here, he up and unders and didn't even need to. He was open off the first fake. So what else can you look for other than just, all right, I'm going to dribble, get my back to the basket, and shoot. So think about, let's freeze it here. Think about if Kobe was facing up off the catch. You, like we spoke about earlier with defense, uh, you might want to establish a top foot. You might want to force him one way, whatever the case may be. On offense, we teach attack the top foot. So right now, what is J.R. Smith's top foot? It's his left foot. So what should you do out of the post? You should attack that top foot. So what does Kobe do? He shoulder fakes towards that angle. He has to drop that top foot, and he is wide open. What does that open up? If they establish that top foot and they're closing out towards you, like you see here, you'll have whatever up and under you want to get to. Again, same thing. What's the top foot? And then Kobe was really good at changing up his pivots and how he was going to get around that top foot. But it's all kind of the same concept. Diaz, do you want to talk about Isaiah and Jordan and just like what we're doing here?
Yeah. So the way really are kind of off the drop. So here we have him catching on a split, get to the paint, getting their basket on 2 feet, and then shooting a good fake. Mind you, these shots are not far from the. These are all underneath the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
And on the bounce and on the Jordan stuff, it just switches up. The Michael Jordan stuff, not the Jordan Wall.
Yeah, we'll get there. And in being like self-reflective on us running the workout, I think the one thing we would emphasize is here he's catching free throw line extended and he's starting his move free throw line extended. So what that probably means in a game is that it was either just like not a drive to score or he didn't get cut off. So what we would rather work on is, let's say here's Diaz. We would rather the catch be here and you work actually going downhill and then working on getting the hop that way. Because you're not really gaining an advantage just from going side to side. You really gain the advantage when you put pressure on the defense, like literally driving in their chest, and then you get into that turn action. And what you're seeing here is you can really just be as creative as you want in terms of like pivots, in terms of up and unders. It's really whatever footwork you want your players to work on or you want to work on. It's all just can you get comfortable with your back to the basket? And then here's Michael Jordan doing exactly what we were working on. He drives, he gets cut off, he gets 2 feet down, he can turn over either shoulder here, and he shoots. And what Diaz was talking about with changing the rhythm, he drives, he puts a bounce down, and the same kind of footwork applies. So here's a workout we ran. We have James Booknight, Rich Springs, two UConn guys. We have Jair Bolden, and then we have Ryan Myers, who was still in high school at the time. Let's just talk about how like this shot, that's a shot we'll drill at like the beginning of a workout. You're probably going to either coach a team or be a part of a team where you have some type of like flex cut action, and you're going to get the ball here, and you have to be comfortable with something, whether that's what we just talked about, like making a series of moves. But at minimum, you should be able to shoot this. And if you're fading a little bit, that's fine. Something I'll also address that I think is pretty cool. The workout before this that Sim was actually at, and you can watch the footage of the one-on-one stuff from that workout on his YouTube channel. Shout out to him. Uh, James came and worked out with us with this same group for the first time, and he was playing like super super well on the perimeter. So we asked him after the workout, like, what do you want to work on because your offensive game looks pretty complete. And the only thing he said was like, I think if I just added like a mid post game, that'd be pretty cool. So like the good players really know that this is something that will provide value to them. Am I forgetting something?
Yeah, no, but I think that in this work, there's no concrete way to ball in the post, right? Like it all depends on the defender. It depends on what you want. Like if you see an advantage early on the pass, 1, 2 away from the defender, like you're curling, shoot it. If you're trying to square up and face up, then you can catch it on two, so pivot on any foot that you want. For context, we haven't talked about facing up at all.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about facing up one. We've only talked about back to the baskets. So in this workout, we did face up. We did face up stuff. We did braces. So that's why you see.
Tibbs said Steve got Metro PCS. Yeah, your audio is failing us towards the
it's
end.
It's because I hear
stuff. Here's just one thing. Where'd it go? And we addressed it like a little bit earlier. Is that Ryan Myers here? He drives the ball. He gets on 2 feet, and yeah, Rich Springs is 6'10". Like that's great. He still has the advantage in quickness on whatever fake he chooses to get into. And then if you're a kid like James who has some size on him and some athleticism, you get to do stuff like this when people bite on your fakes in the post. Really good example of just patience. Here's us working on the V's. Yeah, we know it looks kind of crazy because Riverside is like really small and there's not like a corner three there, but this is kind of just a way you could work on that concept, and you can think of whatever counter you want out of it. We tried like a crossover here, but for the most part, I think. Oh, and here's the last thing: is here's Ryan Myers. He has 2 feet down. He's getting cut off. He's stuck because we worked on so much post up stuff with him. Here's him taking a completely uncontested short fadeaway that he found because of that footwork in the post. Yeah, the comments are killing you, and and your
This is
connection.
every live, bro. This is
Yeah.
just what
Well,
happens.
look, last live it was the dogs. This live,
As long as
it's
people can hear what I'm saying. If
yeah.
you can't hear what I'm saying, it's a problem.
So, with that being said, we just have a bunch of stuff from Colin Gillespie uh, that didn't really make it to like the video, but we're done. Yes, we know for the last video we have to work. We have to work on like an outro, but if anyone has any like last questions, feel free to throw them out there.
I think the one thing we didn't say is that the term for changing your drive into a post up is a bar. Like that's the terminology.
Since I didn't even hear it, and I don't think anyone else could, he said it's called a Barkley. It's called a Barkley. If you literally YouTube Barkley post ups, which would have made finding clips for this video so much easier, um, go on YouTube and just type in Barkley post ups, and there's an entire video on Jalen Brunson. Just so you don't have to use this like 40-minute long live video as your only resource for that. There's uh, there's a 3-minute video on YouTube that shows you pretty much everything you would need.
I'm done talking.
All right, so with Diaz done talking, and he's not going to say goodbye, I'll say thank you to everyone that's here in the comments, and we will keep you updated on when the next video is going to come out. We'll probably also put out just some content of the topics covered on this video anyway, just to make it easier for everyone to watch so you don't have to go back to this. Oh, we have a question. Besides developing the skill to post up, what types of guards would be good candidates to post? I would say any guard. So you look at like Jalen Brunson, who was clearly uh, the inspiration for this video. Any guard that's like super stocky and has like some level of size to him that he can hold his ground in the post. That would be a good guy to look at. Any guard that already has like a requisite level of like craftiness, like they're really good with like pump fakes and pass fakes in the lane, stuff like that. Uh, but really anybody, I wouldn't shortchange anybody in terms of just having this skill set because it is just like a fundamental thing, pivoting while you're in the lane. Diaz, I know you're done talking. Do you want to text me if you had if you had an idea?
Just any unselfish guard.
Yeah, that's a good answer. With that being said, appreciate you guys. Video's over. Uh, stay safe. Yes, Christian Taylor, a good guy. So I'm gonna end this. You're gonna watch the screen as I end it.